I'm James Brierton in Charlotte with Scotty Powell and his new digs there in Myrtle Beach. It's Wednesday, November 23rd, 2022. We weren't planning on having an episode this weekend. It won't be until next week that we have a full length episode for you. But Scotty and I thought it was important tonight to come on this Thanksgiving Eve and talk a little bit about a tragedy that unfolded here yesterday in Charlotte. As I'm sure most of you have heard by now, WBTV television lost two of their colleagues, including meteorologist Jason Myers and helicopter pilot Chip Tayag, when there was a helicopter accident just south of the Uptown area about lunchtime on Tuesday. And the reason we wanted to come on here tonight, of course, to share in our thoughts and prayers with WBTV and the entire community, and also share with you new opportunities in which you can help their families. WBTV today announcing GoFundMe's that will go towards benefiting uh, the families of both men. These are GoFundMe's that the television station is putting out, so you can feel safe and secure in donating through these GoFundMe's if that is something you are looking to do this holiday season. Scotty, we have a link to those GoFundMe's in the description of this episode right now. And I wanted to give you, Scotty, an opportunity to share a little bit. I don't think either of us had an opportunity to meet Chip. I never met Jason, but you had an opportunity to meet Jason, and he was a real mentor towards you, especially as of late. And I was hoping you could share a little bit with us tonight.
Yeah. First of all, I'm just so sorry for what happened, and for Jillian and the kids, and for Chip's family. When I got the news yesterday, I was just a pit in my stomach when I heard there was a helicopter crash, and then as details came out and learned of who it was, I was just absolutely devastated. My relationship with Jason goes back into last year. If you all remember the sit down interview we had with Eric Thomas on his retirement. Before we filmed that, Eric and myself and Dan with Carolina Weather Group had lunch, and Eric invited Jason to lunch, and that was my first time meeting Jason. Obviously, seeing him on WBTV, but never. We communicated on social media, but never met face to face. And so Eric said, "Hey, I invited Jason. I want Jason to get to know you. You know Jason because Jason's going to be a superstar. He's a North Carolinian, and he said, I just think you two would hit it off." And Eric was right. Jason and I absolutely hit it off, and really became a close friend of mine and a mentor. Um, Fast forward to like December, January, February. I started reaching out to stations to ask if I could come into the studio and do some work on the green screen. And Jason was on it immediately. He's like, "Yes, come in." And so over the late spring through summer into early fall, uh, I've been rotating between WBTV and WCNC doing some work. And Jason and I's friendship just grew closer and closer. And he is such an amazing guy. And yesterday, when I got off of work, was watching some coverage on WBTV, and I think it was Al Conklin or Jamie Bowl. One of them summed it up quite nicely. Is like Jason was that person that we all strive to be, because nothing ever got Jason down. At least he didn't show it personally or publicly. Always had the biggest smile on his face. Always wanted to know how you were doing. Always wanted to shake your hand, look you in the eye, and have that personal one-on-one conversation with you. And he was a great man of faith, and I know without a shadow of a doubt where he's at today. And he's going to be missed by so many at WBTV and Kentucky. He was the chief in I think it was Louisville. Worked at a station in Richmond, had ties to NC State, had ties to Union County, Davidson County, Catawba County. So Jason's really tied into the North Carolina area, and it's just going to be sorely missed. And he was so big in helping me get to where I'm at today. We've not really officially announced it here on Carolina Weather Group, but I accepted a position at WBTW in Myrtle Beach as their newest meteorologist, and Jason helped me get this job, and forever grateful for his friendship and his mentorship. we'll throw up a post. I tweeted out last night, so if you follow me on Twitter, you may have seen it. But if not, I have a screen share, and of that screen share, Jason was wishing me the best on getting this job, and just was how happy he was for me and how proud he was. And I know today was my first day on air, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that he was there with me, and I know he would have been happy with how it came out, James. So it was a tragic event, and one that I don't know, I've still not fully processed it, and I don't think any of us in the Charlotte weather community has. I mean, you and me, along with a lot of other folks. What folks may not know behind the scenes is, yeah, everybody works at different stations, but everybody's connected
Right.
and everybody has true friendships. And I just know we're all devastated about what happened yesterday. And, and our prayers go out to Chip and his family as well. Like you said, I didn't know Chip. I know you didn't have any interaction with Chip, but from everything that I've heard, Chip was an amazing pilot, very skilled and experienced. And Sky 3 was his baby, and always was talking about how he was out there tinkering with things and making sure things were clean, and just a freak accident. And I'm sure that as the investigation unfolds, details will come out of what happened. But the weather didn't seem to play a factor. It was a clear day,
No.
so just one of those freak things that it just happened. And it's so sad. And so, we all want to extend our love and support to Chip's family and to Jason's family, and to WBTV and to the whole Charlotte weather community, because this all has stung us pretty bad.
Yeah, there's a lot about it that's obviously shocking. As you mentioned, we may get some answers in the weeks and months ahead. The NTSB is investigating. I'll tell you from a quote unquote competitor station where I worked during the day at WCNC. When we got off the air yesterday at 6:30, a bunch of us just kind of stood in the newsroom and hugged and talked to each other. Many of which, including myself, had never met either individual in person. But I think the notion that it felt very close to home, um, like those two gentlemen, we got up and went to work this morning and said goodbye to our families and drove into the TV station, all presuming that we'd be coming back home that night. I think made it feel very familiar and very scary and very relatable for so many of us.
It's
We go ahead.
It's funny you say that, James. The Hickory Daily Record, based out of Catawba County. If you ever watched Jason, he had a friend that lived in Catawba County called his name's Bobby Knowles, and feel free to go to Hickory Daily Record and read the article that they did. I helped contribute some, but they talked to Bobby, and Bobby was actually scheduled yesterday to have lunch with Jason, and Bobby in the article says that he knew something was wrong because Jason didn't meet him at the restaurant and
Really?
wouldn't return any text, um, and he knew that Jason was in Sky 3 before lunch, and so he kind of connected the dots. And so it's it, it's an interesting article to read, because Tommy, I think, will kind of verbalize what we all said. Jason's who he was as a person, and how he always reached out to folks and was always concerned. And it's an article worth reading. Um, Kevin and the folks at the Hickory Daily Record did a good job with it. But like you said, Bobby was going to meet Jason for lunch yesterday, and that never happened.
I'll share something that happened to me this morning. I was reading an article about Jason and Chip, and there's a photo that the station put out of the two of them standing together in front of Sky 3. And my son, who's young, looked at the photo, pointed at Jason, and said, "Daddy, is that you? He has your beard." And I think that kind of hit home a little bit on how I was feeling, not because we share facial features, right? But because that's how I was kind of feeling, was that it could have been myself or any one of my colleagues. and my son in his young age somehow verbalized exactly that. Um, I thought that was pretty fitting. The other thing I wanted to mention is something that the Charlotte Mecklenburg Police Department chief said yesterday in the immediate aftermath, that he sees Chip as a hero because something went wrong. We don't know what, and Chip had to bring that aircraft down to the ground very quickly, or find a way to safely get it down in a way that didn't injure additional people. And I-77 in a pre-Thanksgiving holiday rush was obviously very full of people. This is a part of the city that has lots of buildings and lots of trees. And the investigation playing out in a section of grass adjacent to the highway that is not very large. And I have no doubt in my mind that that's exactly where he was trying to get that aircraft, was onto that unoccupied piece of ground.
And when James says not a large piece, it's not a large piece. I mean, it's that area is not very large at all. I mean,
I have driven past that every day.
mhm.
And if somebody had said to me, "Do you know that grass patch on 77 near Tyvola?" And I would have said, "No, because it's not remarkable. It's just a
No.
small little piece of grass."
Yeah.
As we mentioned, there are links to GoFundMe's to help support both families in the description or wherever you're watching or listening to this right now. There's no information at this time about memorial services. If that is something that is being shared publicly down the line, we will pass that along. Obviously, we will respect the wishes of the families on whatever they choose to do. But as we mentioned, our thoughts with WBTV and the Charlotte community and the both the broadcast aviation industry and beyond. And Scotty, I'm glad you got to have that experience with Jason. I never got a chance to talk with him, but in talking with you and talking previously with Eric Thomas, and just word of mouth through the industry, I never heard a bad thing ever. And so hopefully we'll be able to share more about their lives in the weeks ahead. Hopefully on a more positive note, Scotty, Jason helped you get to where you are today. And on this show, we hope to talk more about that, because this was not how we planned to reveal your new Myrtle Beach location. But like we mentioned, we weren't planning on a full episode tonight on this week of Thanksgiving. We'll be back next week with additional content from the Carolina Weather Group. Until then, hug your loved ones. Tell them you love them. And hopefully you get to be with some special folks on this Thanksgiving. On behalf of Scotty Powell and everyone here at the Carolina Weather Group, I'm James Brierton. We'll talk to you again real soon.